everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home and Away, a podcast devoted to all things in and around the world of sport in Kansas City soccer. I am Drew Vanderpool, joined once again, as always, by my good friend Cody Welton. This week on the podcast, we're vibes in it this week. Cody and I, obviously, we're recording this a day early, and I didn't have a ton of time to put together a distinct rundown or do a whole lot of research, but we did want to make sure to get a podcast to y'all before the St. Louis game on Wednesday night. So we're getting together a day early, and we're just going to kind of talk through our thoughts. Sporting Kansas City obviously lose at Portland on the weekend in a game that had some improvements, but some more patterns of things that were not necessarily exciting. I mean, I guess we can start on the stuff that's good. The defense obviously continued to play well. The center back pairing seems to kind of be solidifying. Obviously, John Pulskamp had a very good game. So while we're seeing improvements on the defensive side of the field, it feels like offensively the team has stagnated a little bit. And just be interested to hear kind of what your thoughts are and how you felt the performance went against Portland. Obviously, they get beat because of another worldie from as far as a goal is concerned. But it also wasn't like outside of a couple chances in the first 15 minutes that they really created a ton either to try to get anything away from the game outside of that. So, why don't you Cody, tell me what you thought of the game and, the good and the bad.
I think it was a competent performance, especially defensively, and that's something to build upon, and that we continue to see Volader and Miller play well with one another and work towards establishing that rapport. And that I totally agree with your shout out to Pulskamp. I thought he had another really, really good game, and it's nice to see. It seems like his confidence is growing with every game, and I think that is super key.
Yeah, it's weird how that works when you just kind of give confidence to a young player and let them play and learn. And hey, look, we actually see improvement out of that player.
Yeah, absolutely. There are young players who I think are not improving, at least at the rate that we want, and maybe have taken a step back. And the attack is not really functioning. It's I think pretty easy for teams to play against Kansas City and keep them from doing what they want to do. And all you got to do is look at the non-involvement of Joveljic, and that's a huge red flag. And it's not the first time this season that has happened. And so that part of the game was pretty disappointing. And the lack of forward thrust, the lack of direct play, I thought was pretty disappointing. A lot of that I think it had to do with Portland and the way that they played, but I didn't see the same sort of verve that we come to expect from Kerry Savagnan's coaching of the team, and so it's something for me to keep my eye on for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how he starts to address some of this. He in the post-game comments, he sort of talked about the game state changed. When Portland scored, they pulled their mid-block even deeper than it was to start the game, and just sort of were perfectly willing to let Sporting possess the ball. And we saw, again, a situation where, right after Kerry took over, they were playing long a lot. They were trying to win second balls. They were not really prioritizing possession, building out of the back, any of those kinds of things. And you would see average touches from center backs be up near the half line. Mm-hmm. And that was not the case in this game. No. And there was a lot more time spent sort of just passing the ball around behind Portland's 4-4-2 mid-block. And they were very willing to let Sporting possess up into the half line and then just crash the center as soon as they would try to play through the middle and try to get turnovers and break on them. And that was kind of a very clear tactic of theirs. Now, granted, part of it is because Portland wants to play on the break. Like, that is their style. Mm-hmm. But it also, it just created a situation where there was, once Portland scored, they were even less interested in defending any higher up the pitch, and it just made it that much harder. And it sort of reminds us of a problem that this team has had for years, which is that they struggle to break down an organized defense, and that has been a problem for a long time.
Yeah, and you know they need help to do that, right? And so, one would think that Leibold might be a good choice to help break down that kind of defense. But I thought that they really missed in Denbei. I thought that Denbei's willingness to get forward and carry the ball into the box and overlap and underlap, like, and his energy, I think is super important. And I don't think I think Leibold showed that he's a second option at best, and he doesn't. I think we all many people commented at the fact that at the 60-minute mark he was cooked, he was done.
I mean, this has been the case for him the whole time he's been here.
Absolutely.
He's just got a really he's not very good at managing his stamina at all.
No.
And or he just doesn't have enough of it. I'm not quite sure which it is, but either way, he is not a 90-minute player by any means. And we had to see the return of Zoran Basong, the left back, because that was all that was available. It sounds like in Denbei, his injury wasn't bad. He was in training this week. He's questionable for the St. Louis game, and Kerry mentioned that in his media availability today, that everybody's out of the training room and everybody's practicing, so that's good. It's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know. This is totally anecdotal, but I wonder. It seems like players are coming back from injury a lot faster than I recall. I mean, again, I'm not. This is totally anecdotal, and I'm not trying to correlate anything I shouldn't. It just feels that way. Now, part of it may be due to the fact that there's a bunch of guys out of contract at the end of this year, and they know that they need to get on the field if they want to earn that next contract, either in Kansas City or elsewhere. But yeah, it doesn't seem like we've had the like when Denbei couldn't jump for that header against LA. I was concerned that there was a while like that sounded like a significant strain, and he's already in full training. So that's good news, I guess.
That is good news. Yeah. That doesn't fix the midfield though, and
no, it doesn't. So I think that's part of Radia again was fairly solid in this game, fairly serviceable. I mean, again, I don't think it's high TAM as far as quality is concerned, but definitely he looked like a professional out there, and Bartlett really struggled again.
Easily his worst game.
Yeah. And I don't know what to make of that. Like, I don't know if it's time for him to, spend a couple games on the bench and see, so he can sort of perceive that. I don't know what the right thing is, because obviously with a teenager it's difficult. But it wasn't great. Although it's not like Jake Davis was great when he came on either.
Yeah,
so.
And that's so. And that reminds me that when I said that there were disappointing youngsters, you might have thought I was talking about Bartlett. I wasn't really. I was talking about Jake Davis, because it really seems like Davis has taken a step back, and he went from being a good right back to a good midfielder, and now he's not good at either one, and he needs to reset, I think.
Yeah.
And
I think you texted me like he's getting too big for his britches a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like I think got a little high in his own supply, and is probably trying to overdo it, in my opinion.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, just taking a lot of risks and missing on too high of a percentage of them was kind of what I noticed.
Yeah, and it's mostly risks, with in positioning and passing and giving the ball up, and missing tackles,
Right.
And that's the tackle one is really disappointing, because he's been such a strong tackler in the past couple of seasons, and to see him out there whiffing on tackles and letting people go by him, it's not great, and it. All of these things just like serve as a reminder that this is like not a great squad, right? It seems unfair to hold Radia to that standard, but the thing is like he's a veteran, and the goals and the creativity, they're not coming from anywhere else, right? Like Manu can't do everything on his own. Shalawi had a decent game, but he didn't finish his chances,
But
and
I mean,
so
that's going to happen. I mean, I'm
sure,
much more
sure.
concerned with is he getting into prime scoring areas, and he was the only one on the team that
Right.
was.
So that's a bigger concern, right? Is that okay? Yeah, he missed his chances, but nobody else was doing anything, like anything. Sulamanov didn't do anything. Joveljic didn't do anything, and so uh, I mean, like
Jovic had a nice 1-2 combination on one of the shots that they created, like in the 16th minute with Manu, and that was it.
that was it.
Shoppy, to the point that Brian Dunseth kept asking, somebody's going to have to tell me what problems he causes for defenses.
Yeah. So he causes problems if you let him, but I think what Portland had already seen what he can do, and I think that they came out and they just didn't, they didn't let him receive the ball in space and drive at defenders, and they I think marked him pretty closely, and then they just bumped him off of the ball pretty
Well, they
easily,
got a
and
pretty good lesson the first time
they
because
did.
he drew
Yeah,
like 3 yellow cards in that
yeah,
game from them trying to defend him, like allowing him to receive and then defending him afterward, which is just a poor idea.
yeah,
Just press him when the ball gets there,
yep, yeah.
and they were very effective at that in this game. And yeah, I don't want to be all down on this, and like this is going to be the nature of this team. I think the majority of this season they're going to be kind of up and down. I don't think they're as bad as they were the first 5 games of the season, but I don't think they're all of a sudden great either.
No,
And I do think that there's something to the fact that their change in style, right, when Carey took over to, playing a little bit more long, winning second balls and whatnot, as soon as that was put on film for a couple games, defenses or opposing coaches saw it, knew what to expect, knew what to prepare their players for, and it all of a sudden became a lot less effective. And so they're going to have to figure out more useful ways to disorganize their opponent, because it's just right now, I mean, I think over the last couple of games we haven't really seen much of that. Like I'm glad to see the defense continue to gel and continue to gain some level of communication rapport. Jansen Miller was also at media availability today and talked about just having the 2.5 games with just him and Robbie playing together, that he can feel like he knows where Robbie's going to be, he knows what he's going to do next. Like we discussed this last week. It's just like it's a huge part of organizing your defense that you have players playing together regularly. And so I think, we would hope to continue to see that pairing out there. I mean, I know Rosero and Fernandez are off the injury report, but I've seen nothing in the last 2 games that would lead me to want to replace one of the center backs that have been playing the last couple games.
no, not at all. And look, the thing is that if if those two center backs, if Miller and Volliter can be just like league average type center backs, that's okay, right?
And I
Because
think Miller's actually better than league average. Like, I think he is comparatively to starting quality center backs in the league,
yeah,
he is, I would say, slightly above average as far as that's concerned. And that's saying something for a rookie, 700 minutes in or 800 minutes into his pro career, right?
yep. So if the only thing that comes out of this season is we have a dedicated center back partnership and a young goalkeeper with confidence and experience, and hopefully a young number 6 with confidence and experience, like those, that is a really strong building block for future seasons. Not the least because you don't have to turn around and then invest a bunch of money into those positions, and you can spend your money in the attack and make the attack more dynamic, and find somebody who can help Garcia get the ball to Joveljic.
It certainly helps solve some of the problems that they have in the offseason, where it sounded like they might have to replace 8 or so people on the back line, right? Both starters and subs. And I think that having at least 1 or 2 of those positions that you feel somewhat positive about is a good thing. So it limits the amount of work that you're trying to do. And it also limits how much chaos you're introducing into the locker room in the offseason as well, with a bunch of new players and trying to get them to gel together and perform. So I think having something positive to build on is really good. And I do think that we've seen over the last, I mean, I would say the last 3 games, honestly, outside of the, even in Cincinnati, I felt like the defense performed significantly better than it had.
Yeah.
Certainly once Volliter came on. And so I think that that's been a win. And obviously, Pulskamp continuing to improve. He gave a really cool quote to Daniel Sperry after the game about like how he processed that save that he made in the moment, and it was obviously a brilliant save. But just like going through the whole process of what they were training on during the week, what he was trying to be prepared for, how he was sort of like processing the information in the moment, for him to be able to give that detailed of a response is really warming to me, because I think if there's anything that I've been concerned about with Pulskamp as he's taken on this starting role, is it feeling like he's processing information a little bit late.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was able to break down like how his brain was working, that shows that he's processing information in time, in fact, ahead of time. And that's a really good development. And I think, again, that goes back to his ability to, or the fact that he's played, right?
Yeah.
That he's played 12 games or 14 with Champions League, and you're starting to see his recognition and his reactions to things be more effective. And I think that just comes from experience, man. Like some of these things you can't do without experience.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, I think that I was careful in choosing my words and identifying Pulskamp along with those 2 center backs, because that's the next step in the partnership, right? Like you have to have rapport between your center backs, but then they then have to have a rapport with the goalkeeper, because there's a lot, that's who a goalkeeper communicates with most, right? Is the center backs, because they're right back there, and the goalkeeper has that broad view of the field and can communicate things, where he needs, defenders, and where runners are coming from, et cetera, et cetera. And so like these are all like really important and necessary relationships that need to be built, especially when you have young players, right? Like sometimes like Hugo Lloris, he knows what to do, right? When he comes and he plugs him in, and he's a world class goalkeeper, and he knows how to talk to his defenders and the rest of the team, and Pulskamp needs to learn that. And it's great that you can have this kind of a season where where you're not necessarily really playing for silverware, and you can give those young players time to grow together, instead of having to kind of patch it and rely on maybe getting a veteran in the off season. So I think a 1-0 loss, especially on the road, is sure, it's a loss that's disappointing, but like it was a competent performance, and like we need to be happy about that. Obviously a win would have been better, but I mean, like they didn't look bad. They didn't look out of their depth. They were competitive.
That's a fair point, and it's something that I need to be reminded of from time to time, because we've discussed this most of the year about what we're really looking for is progress. And one of the concerns that we've had going into this season and from seasons prior is the fact that this team makes so many huge mistakes, and they're not able to, teammates aren't able to recover from them or provide cover for them. And we really didn't see that in this game. Like I said, the one bad turnover that turned into a really bad transition event, Pulskamp comes up and makes a huge save. I'm really like, I think someone mentioned it, like the last 2 goals that have been scored against this team in 3 games were goal of the year nominees.
Yep.
That like you really can't do much about. So outside of that, they're not giving up goals from standard run of play type goals since the first half against Cincinnati. So I mean, I think that is a positive improvement. They've got to figure out how. And I don't think like I've heard some folks make mention of this, and I'm not necessarily sure it's true. Like there's this conversation around were was the team focusing too much on trying to organize their defense, and that's why the offense has gone the wrong way. And I don't believe that's true. I just think that those players are performing better on the defensive side of the field. The offense,
Well, so those players are performing better together, right? Like
right,
they're like the
right.
defense is performing as a unit, and the attack is not really. And
It's basically relying on Manu Garcia to drop something
right,
in
I
there,
mean
right?
that's
Like
it. And
that's it.
still, if Tommy sinks one of those goal, or not Tommy, if Daniel
Shallow.
Shallowy, if he sinks one of those early, just didn't couldn't seal the deal. And I think more disappointing, as I mentioned before, more disappointing is the fact that nobody else stepped up. And the reason for that is, I think, I feel fairly comfortable in saying, like, the reason for that is there's nobody else who really is good enough to step up. It is Manu and Shallowy and Joveljic maybe, and that's like about it.
Yeah, I mean, Joveljic is much more of like a kind of Wondolowski type of player where he's gonna be in the right spot if you can get the ball there.
Mm-hmm.
But Sporting hasn't historically, nor have I seen them this year, even under Savagnin, prioritize the type of ball that he finds himself on the end of a lot, right?
Right.
And so it's a fascinating problem to try and fix because I see Joveljic trying to get into the game
Mm-hmm.
and to somehow find a way to get himself into a position to score, but it's not working. And
There's too much of him playing with his back to goal, frankly,
right.
and that is not. And anybody who's watched him over the years, like his goals come when you can slip through balls into him, and he can make something of it, or if there's wonky balls crashing around the box, he can get on the end of those.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a classic target man type of player, and he's kind of taken that role, and so it makes him look like the second coming of Alan Polito, right? It's just nothing but dropping into midfield to get your touches, and then nothing in the final third, and that's a problem that needs to be fixed, right? Like that's a huge problem.
So one of the things that keeps coming up is that they say that he doesn't get enough touches inside the 18, and I think that that's more of a like the stats actually show that he gets a decent amount of touches in the 18. He had like 7 in this game,
fine, right?
So like I think it's more the touches he's getting inside the 18, to your point, are either with his back to goal or in a crowd of 3 center backs. They're not touches with any space.
Right.
And so while he is touching the ball, the quality of touches are not the same as what he was getting in LA, and part of that is because he had a DP number 10 and 2 DP wingers really drawing a lot of attention away from him. And Shallowy, I think, has been playing pretty well for the last month, but he's the only other offensive player outside of Manu that has, and Manu is having to drop deeper to get his touches as well, which pulls him further away from Joveljic, and he's not able to provide service. Manu dropped a really nice ball on the first shot that Shallowy got, and it was a hell of a first-time hit from Shallowy. Just, it was dead center of the goal, so Kripo was right there. But that's what I'm saying is, like, they're not – those chances were nice, but there's not enough of them. You can't rely on getting 2 of those shots a game and scoring. You have to create more than that, and so I'd be interested. I don't know if you have any thoughts on like how they go about doing that. I don't. What I'm concerned with Shoppy is that I don't know how he helps them create offensive scoring chances.
Yeah, I mean, my answer is to get better players, right? I think that's just where I am at the moment, and I don't know that there's a lot more that you can do about it. It did seem like that even when they were down a goal, they didn't really have the push, right? Like they weren't the chances, the good chances, all came early, and they didn't have they didn't get a bunch of people forward. They weren't like getting runners in the box. It looked frankly like Peter Vermes was coaching the
Right.
team. And we know how that story ends. And it's not a good ending. So um, they've got to figure out something different. And if you don't if your highly paid attacking players aren't getting the job done on their own, then that means you have to start to put numbers forward, and that leaves you vulnerable and exposed. But like, there's no magic, right? You have to be able to create overloads in the box in order to create scoring chances. If your elite players are not doing their job.
I think part of it is the fact that they're also basically playing with two defensive midfielders. So
Yeah.
like they're playing a 4-3-3, but one of their eights is really a six, who doesn't naturally do much in the final third. You also take away Logan Adenbe, who is obviously, like you said, very active and overlapping, and you're in a situation where it's just you don't have, even when they would get forward, it was like we discussed last week. Manu is having to get on the ball a lot deeper. They finally start moving forward. All they have are the three forwards.
Yep.
Manu's 25 yards behind the play, and I don't think it's a situation where their average or their positioning is such that they're being really conservative and not allowing numbers to get forward. I just don't think they have the guys
I agree.
that do
Yeah,
that,
I
right?
agree.
And I think it's more that than the instruction.
That's I think that's one change that kind of sticks out to me of the way that Zvagnen is setting up the team is that it seems like the wingers are not dropping as deep, and so they're staying higher so that they can be more involved in attack and more immediately involved in attack, but y- y- when like the whole team has to move forward, right? It can't you can't strand Joveljic, but you also necessarily can't end up playing 3 versus 5 and expect for those three attackers to consistently come up with attacks, especially when one of them isn't frankly doing much of anything. And so yeah, it's it's a problem, and
It just
what
takes
I
too long for their numbers to get in the attacking zone. Like that's just
right.
the biggest issue, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
they never have a numerical advantage.
Right. Absolutely. And that is yes, that is coaching, but that's also having the right players, right? And to his credit, like Jake Davis he loves running forward and he loves covering a bunch of ground, but his passing has not been what it needs to be. And so if you take even if you put him in the midfield, and I know that at the beginning of the year, I was definitely guilty of thinking that that would solve a lot of the problems, and it really hasn't, because I think he just hasn't been good, and
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not that the idea of him wasn't
right,
the right thing. It was the fact that he did not live up to those expectations. Like,
yeah,
or he's just not playing at the level that we saw from him last year. And
right,
I don't know if his injury is causing it. I don't know if it's, like you said, it's mental and he's trying to do too much and he thinks he's better than he is. I don't know what it is, but it has not been great for the last several appearances that he's had. And I don't. But like you said, where do you go on the bench to
yeah.
fix this problem?
There's not anything. There's nothing.
Right.
Your choices are Basong, and we know that that's not an additive sub in an attacking sense, and we know that we know that Eric Tommy can attack, but he's been subbing in on the wing, and so
Well, I
yeah,
mean, I think someone had been suggesting for a while that maybe you put Manu and Tommy out there together in the midfield, and I'm like, well, you it better not be Jacob Bartlett at the 6 if you do that, because
yeah.
that
I keep hoping he's gonna. His positioning is just ass. I mean, frankly, it just and he just roams too much, and I don't.
well, and
I,
he's just a second behind the play all the time.
yeah, yep,
And that, like, again, it's a similar situation to what we were talking about with Pulse Camp. I think it will improve with time. I'm wondering how many times you keep sending him out there until you have a confidence problem.
I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
I think his confidence was. I mean, it was a quicksand game for him, against Portland. I think that his body language kept getting worse and worse, and so was not at all surprised when he got subbed off.
Right. Well, and especially if you were planning on bringing Jake on at halftime anyway,
Right.
you do it there as opposed to taking Roddy off. It just makes sense to make that
It
change.
it might just be better to go back to playing a 4-2-3-1 and having giving making Manu the centerpiece and putting him up closer to the attack as a starting point, and then just live in with the double pivot. But I mean that doesn't seem to be something Zvagnin is so interested in, and so I don't know where that leaves the team. So
I don't either.
without getting better players, right? I
Yeah,
mean
I mean,
that's
it's
why I
just
keep circling it back around to that. I mean,
well, and I think the point is important because the reality is that this team is in the middle of a rebuild, whether Mike Illig wants to admit it or not. They are, and they're only going to be so good right now. We did get to see 10 minutes or so of Santi Munoz. He didn't. I mean, I didn't. By that point, the game state had devolved to the point where there were very few opportunities to break Portland down. Maybe there's an opportunity for him to integrate more and provide something. I don't know. I have limited optimism about that, but perhaps that is something that will improve over time. I'll be interested to see how the team comes out against St. Louis. I mean, a short rest, multiple away games in a row. I mean, this is a pretty rough part of the schedule for Sporting. I think they're in the middle of a run. Like started with San Jose, that's like 7 of 9 games are on the road, and two of them are Wednesdays. So yeah, it's a pretty rough schedule right now. So maybe there's some rotation against St. Louis.
another thing to mention before we move on to St. Louis is that when you're struggling, when you're a team who's struggling to create chances, one of an easy way to create chances is via dead balls and corner kicks. And guess how many corner kicks Sporting had? Zero.
Zero. Yeah, I don't even remember any.
Zero. Now they haven't been great on attacking set pieces, but having zero, like, that's a problem.
They've improved, but I think this again goes to their philosophy towards ball progression. It's so narrow and so inverted from the wide side all the time. They never get to the end line. They never do any of the things that create corner kicks because everything is so pinched in to the corners of the 18-yard box, and then trying to like either chip ball in or ball to feet to a runner centrally, which I don't necessarily have a problem with that mentality but at a certain point you're also playing in the most congested space, right? And you're not sometimes getting into some space, can create space by pulling your defenders towards it. So like there are your opponent towards it, and so there may be some things they can do there, but I think that they've been improved on set pieces, especially defending them. But there have been a couple training ground, free kick things and whatnot they've done, so you can tell that there's been some work put into it.
Yeah.
But that's also not something you're gonna fix in a couple weeks either, right?
No.
Like that's gonna take some time.
And it doesn't matter how much time do you devote to practicing it if you don't get any during the game.
Right.
So
yeah. Or you're not playing in a way that creates them. Right. And to be fair, if I'm a coach of this team right now, I'm probably not that concerned with creating corner kicks.
Right. You don't have a threat in the box. You don't have an aerial threat at all.
I mean, their best aerial threats are sitting on the bench because they're not good enough to supplant the 23-year-olds at center back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't think you put Rosero and Fernandez on the field just so you have a set piece threat. Like, I think that's dumb.
it's still the ghost of Windows past,
Yeah.
coming back to haunt the team. Like you can't ignore that. You can't ignore set piece either delivery or finishing when you're going around to sign players. Doesn't matter how well
Especially in
they
MLS,
pass.
the margins are so
Yep.
fine in these games, man, that having that as a capability, and we beat this drum pretty hard in the past. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. It's definitely a less than ideal situation there that could potentially help them, get some more scoring chances, outside of signing a bunch of new midfielders and attacking players. Let's go to Potpourri real quick before we get to the St. Louis game.
Yep.
The Kansas City Current get back to winning ways. They absolutely sort of thoroughly beat the crap out of Bay FC. This wasn't a particularly close game. Bay did end up getting a goal at one point, but I mean, for the most part, this was kind of a butt whooping. Yeah, just when they get there, when they get three starting forwards available, all of a sudden they look a lot better.
Yeah.
Just
It makes a big difference.
it's kind of how it works. So they had Davinia playing sort of right wing, sort of kind of a narrow right winger, inside forward kind of thing, with Di Bernardo flaring out like she had done before Bia got healthy, and we also got to see Bia get back into form, like just the run that she makes on the first goal, and then just sort of basically shouldering the center back off her while she just slots it home from the top of the box. It's just when she's on, it just brings a whole nother dimension to their attack that is something else. And then on Davinia's goal, Claire Hutton hits an absolute beaut.
Yeah,
She,
that's great.
I got to be honest, I was a little worried about Claire in the first 20 minutes of this game because she was getting run by a lot. She's not a very fast player.
No, she's
and
not.
and when her opponent is fresh, is sometimes she does lose them. But she stayed in the game. She made a few good tackles, and then she's obviously, like, her stamina is much better than those opponents, and she's obviously has this nice assist. And then Haley Mace was an absolute beast at right back in this game. Just up and down the right sideline the whole game, and has an assist in this one, maybe two assists, I think. So yeah, it was just good to see them get back to form. I don't know how much I don't think you got to watch this game, did you?
I watched, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes of it.
Yeah.
So didn't get to watch a lot, but I did see Hutton's assist, which is
Good.
the most important thing, really. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Right. Yeah, that's all that really mattered in that game anyway. Right. Next on the list, have you seen this? The David
Yes.
Beckham got big mad at the Minnesota United social media team. I just think this is hilarious. I don't know. I mean, I mean, for those of you that haven't seen it, some of the posts are up on the Discord. So the links in the show notes if you want to join the Discord and look at it. But there were a number of jabs taken at Miami on social media, and for some reason Beckham felt the need to comment on them and express his displeasure.
I mean, the league needs villains, and Beckham just stepped right into that cape. So
Well,
go for
and
it,
I mean,
buddy.
Miami is already a team that, for a lot of folks, is disliked outside of Miami. So
Yeah.
he's just sort of pouring gasoline on that. I don't know what I don't know. I mean, come on, dude. Like you got a lot going on in your life to be worried about. What the hell, the Minnesota United?
Doesn't he have a social media manager? I mean, like what is?
Well,
Come
you
on,
would
dude.
think so, but I mean, he has curated a bit of an Instagram presence, sort of like dunking on his kids and stuff like that. So like he does comment on that stuff fairly often. Someone obviously alerted him to it, and then because otherwise, why would he be going to find it?
Yeah,
But I thought all this stuff was pretty funny.
I think so too. It's
I
great.
mean, the pearl clutching is not going to go anywhere with me. It's freaking social media, man. Come on.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
if you're taking it seriously, then you're doing it wrong.
Get some thick skin, man.
Yeah. What else happened this week? The U.S. just announced some new kits. Did you see these?
I have not seen them.
You need to check them out. They're pretty good. So the home kit, I think, is going to be worn by the women in their upcoming matches in June. and it's sort of like a inverted retro version of the denim kit. So it's white,
Oh, I
but like
see.
they've kind of ghosted the stars in
Uh-huh.
sort of that like homage to the denim kit from '94, which is kind of cool. And then the away kit, which I guess the men are going to wear in their next matches, is it's kind of cool. It's like a really dark
Yeah.
blue with like
I
these
like it.
vertical pinstripes, which
I'm looking at it now, and
I mean,
it looks good.
they Nike has struggled to catch my attention with kits for a while when it comes
Yeah.
to this team. So I was pleasantly surprised with
Yeah.
these. They
That's
look kind
good.
of cool. They look kind of sharp.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
Definitely the away one is like one that really looks like that's definitely one you could wear with some jeans and you
Yeah.
know
Absolutely.
look like a decent shirt for
Yep.
sure. What else? Oh, and you know, Will Kuntz is making the rounds. Was on the Cooligans this week, and they're still crying about the roster rules inhibiting their ability to be good.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
If only he'd known about the roster rules
no
before he made the
shit.
roster. I mean,
Yeah,
come
no
on.
shit. It's not like they've changed.
Yeah.
Like, these have been. He did say that he admitted to the fact. It's like, look, when in the summer when we signed Marco Royce, we knew we were going after it. We knew that we were going to be in a bind. But
So
yeah,
so
just the,
and
like the
that
whole crying poor now and going, well, if we could be allowed to be more aggressive, blah 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 blah, we'd be better. And I'm
no,
like,
you have to make better choices, right? Like
yeah,
Marco Royce was obviously a bad choice, and
yeah, just
you know,
own the fact that you fucked that up.
given the
Like,
dude's injury history, it's not like a big surprise, right? Okay.
yeah,
And a bigger problem is that he evacuated his entire midfield, and their midfield is trash,
well, he
right?
had to evacuate his midfield because he
I
was paying
know,
Marco Royce max tam.
I know.
Like, if he just lets Charlotte sign him to be a DP, which is
Yeah,
what they wanted to do, they still win MLS Cup, and he probably still has Mark Delgado.
yeah, and that makes a huge difference. I mean, like to me, that is the number one reason why they are such trash right now is that they just have nothing. They don't have ball winning in the midfield. They don't have chance creation. They have nothing. And yeah, you've got these great wingers, but if you don't have anybody who can get him the ball, what's the point?
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, obviously, Ricky Puig does such an outsized amount of that for that team
Yeah.
when he's healthy that removing him means that you've gotta somehow moneyball it, replace it in the aggregate.
Yep.
And they eliminated all of the players that could potentially do that because of their cap issues. And anyway, like you
No,
said,
I don't feel sorry for them.
no,
They
I don't.
they
I
won an
wouldn't either.
MLS Cup. Plus
Yeah,
the Galaxy and
yeah.
whatever.
The star stays on the shirt forever, right?
Yep.
Like, I mean,
Amen.
chill out. I mean, they are historically bad this year, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, they set the record for the worst start in league history by getting absolutely pantsed by the Red Bulls. So, I mean, I can understand why the conversation is going around them is like, what the hell happened? But
Red Bulls,
they did it to themselves.
Red Bulls are an attacking juggernaut.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, let's get to one thing to look for. We do have the St. Louis game coming up on Wednesday, and then the team has to head to San Diego. I didn't even spend much time even thinking about playing against San Diego. I will say this: St. Louis is on an even worse run of form than Sporting. Sporting has at least won two of their last four games.
Yeah.
St. Louis, or three, is it three of the last five? I can't remember the numbers are. But anyway, St. Louis has not won a game, or has not won a league game since March, like middle of March. The only game they've won recently was against Union Omaha in Open Cup. So they're on the struggle bus. They do get some players back. Roman Berkey, it sounds like, and Henry Kessler are going to be available for this one. Olaf Melberg will not be because he got his third yellow card of the season last week and has been suspended. So they will be he will have one of his assistants, I guess, running things on the sideline while he sits up in the suite or wherever he has to go to watch it. But yeah, I mean, this is a team that I don't know what they're doing. I really have no idea what they're trying to do.
They have the exact same goal differential as Sporting does, which is -5. Not great, right? It's not negative 20, which is what Galaxy's
Right.
it was not great. Sorry, I can't. It was so funny to see that number. It's
Just to
like,
even say it
wow,
out loud, you
holy
can't get
crap.
it out without laughing.
And the closest one to them is Houston with -8, right? So
Right.
like they are shipping goals, man. But the thing is St. Louis has they've scored 9. They've only scored 9 goals. Sporting Kansas City has scored 17 goals.
Right.
And so and Galaxy have scored 8, right? So Montreal scored 6. So that's the so that makes our friends at St. Louis the third lowest goal scoring team in the league, and they are like. I tried to watch them maybe last weekend. I don't know. Like they're a dire watch, man. I mean, it is like they are very difficult to watch. But so I mean, on the one hand, they can't score, so that bodes well for our young defensive pairing. But on the other hand, they're not giving up a lot of goals, and so that does not bode well for our struggling attack. And so obviously then that means it's going to be like 4-3 tomorrow.
100%. I mean,
Right.
it's a derby match, so it's like you can't really put too much into the stats for something like this. It's really like who comes out with the most energy and who's really into it. I know that obviously Jansen Miller kind of got some shit going at the end of the last game, and then obviously there was like the almost fight that Jake Davis got in after the final whistle. And then Miller was already in media today, stirring that pot even more,
Good.
making comments about like Kansas City's. I mean, he made some comment around like there's always this argument about St. Louis and Kansas City, and it's Kansas City by a mile for me. I don't know what it's like, something along those lines. Oh, I fully think Kansas City is better in every single way. That's what he said.
I love him. Oh my god.
I almost want to log into Twitter just to see how big mad some St. Louis fans have gotten at this, because they found it and got very angry. But yeah, I think it's look like in a season where not much else really matters. These are the games that really matter, that people get fired up for, on both sides of the pitch, right? On both fan bases and whatnot. So I think that it just sucks that it's on a Wednesday night. Like, I don't know.
That is what from the moment I saw the schedule, that was a head scratcher. It's not even summertime, right? So kids are still in school.
Well, they're doing rivalry week, and like this
Right.
weekend, like are all the big derby matches. So
Right.
it's Columbus, Cincinnati is this weekend. El Trafico is this weekend.
Kansas City,
Miami,
San Diego.
yeah, Kansas City, San Diego, noted
rivalry.
massive rivalry match. Yeah, I don't get it. I'm confused by it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's annoying.
So anyway, here we go. I mean, they put one of these games in the middle of the week last year too, didn't they?
Yeah, I think you're right.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. Neither team is that good. So I get why it's not getting top billing on the weekend as one of the major rivalry week matches. That maybe they'll get more people watching on a Wednesday night than they normally would, because there's a rivalry match happening then as well. But yeah, I mean, I think the thing to look out for with St. Louis is their attack is finally starting to get healthy, and they do have talented attacking players. Whether or not Melberg will put them all on the field at the same time is a completely separate conversation that I can't really predict. I'm constantly confused about what exactly they're trying to accomplish, other than play as many center backs as humanly possible.
Yeah, let Klaus run around and kick people, push them, run over them.
Cool. the very prematurely bald Joao Klaus.
Well, he can go with the prematurely bald Jansen Miller, and
Yeah.
we'll just see the bald battle. It'll be
It was funny on that. I think I referenced this last week, but they're doing that sort of off the pitch thing with with Blake Arney and the comms crew for the club, and they actually asked him about that. Like, I guess like Shallowy and those guys are keep messing with Jansen because of his receding hairline and like
Shallowy has no room to talk, dude. That mustache gets worse by the week. Holy crap! Wow.
But I mean, regardless, I guess they give him a lot of shit, and they're asking him if he's going to go to Turkey in the off season to get some hair implants. And you get the land of Donovan.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I had forgotten all about that. Holy cow!
When Donovan had his hair surgery, like right in the middle of the World Cup.
And he accidentally turned to the side, and you could totally see. Yeah, wow.
Good times. So I mean, these are the topics we have to talk about this game because neither team is any good.
Yep.
So I mean, who will be the best prematurely bald player?
Yeah, it's the. I'm trying to think of a cool alliterative phrase to mix with Darby and get bald in there somehow, but I'm coming up with a blank. So.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult for sure. Like the only like you'd have to add too many words in.
We can just call it the Balding Bowl, right?
The Balding Bowl. There you go.
I mean, could throw some American football in there.
For sure. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to try to enjoy the match. Hopefully it's a fun one. The team was very much up for it at home. So I obviously St. Louis will be up for it in their park, and their fans will be up for it as well. So the environment will be good. And I know a bunch of the listeners of the pod, or at least some of them, are making the road trip, and there will be a decent road run, and it'll be a good, fun night. But
it'll kick before 9:30, which is nice.
Very nice, especially on a Wednesday night. Goodness gracious.
For us older.
Yes, exactly. Not this weekend though. No, San Diego you will have to be up late to watch that one.
The weekends are fine. I can handle the weekends. But
okay, all right. I have very little optimism about how that San Diego game's going to go.
Oh yeah, they're gonna shred Sporting Kansas City.
Their pressure is so good, and they are so lethal when they go upfield. That I mean, Andres Dreyer is a real player. I did not realize how good he was, but the more I've watched them. And obviously, we know Chucky Lozano can play, but I mean, Dreyer was the surprising one to me, and I'm not very optimistic about that one. So I'm hopeful that Sporting can keep this win every other game thing going, and get the W tomorrow night, and then we're not so worried about what happens in San Diego on Saturday. And until then, and until next week, I'm Drew. He's Cody. We will talk to y'all then.
Boo St. Louis.
Start doing it.